most out of it. This is a way to get the most walls down. This is a way to create the most chemistry and spark and banter and all of those things that you're looking for on a dinner date besides edamame. Okay? So listen to that one. Take some notes. We're going to take a quick break here because I got to pay for all these podcasts around here. So we will be back right after this. And we are back, and I am running through 10 or 12, I don't know how many I have here, of sort of the essentials, the ones that stand out that you guys should either listen to again, or if you're new to this podcast, that you should listen to get caught up and have a little bit more relationship and dating success. The next one, which is a little bit the opposite of that, GLD 159. It's called Laying Down the Law. I do really like this one. We really broke some new ground. It's all about getting out of the wrong relationship. And the best way, the fastest way, the easiest way to get into a good relationship is to start with getting out of a bad relationship. So this really broke down a formula of how to recognize if you're in a bad relationship, what to do to draw a line in the sand to say, this is as far as I'm going to go with this bad relationship. Gives you a chance to possibly salvage the bad relationship. And mostly it's okay, this is the end of the road on this thing. This is not going to go where I want it to go. And it's time to get out of here. It's time to pull the chute and hit the road on this thing. So we lay out the how, where, when, why to get out of a bad relationship so you can be free and clear to move into the relationship that you've always wanted, which was not that one. Okay? GLD 159, Laying Down the Law. The next one on here, which longtime listeners knew this was probably going to make the list. It's not only the most listened to episode of the show, it's probably my favorite episode of the show, and it's the only one that we have run as a rerun. We've done, 350 of these shows. We only reran one because this was the one that really changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of you guys, the way you went about your dating. It did generate a lot of attention. It did sort of flip upside down a lot of the ways people were going about their early dates with people. And it's GLD 218, the 23 questions that matter. And me and my producer, the aforementioned Keiko, laid out 23 questions that if you ask somebody in the early days of dating, or particularly in the early minutes of your date, that you're going to find out more of the information, personality, history, mindset, everything you want to know about this person, you're going to find out with these 23 questions. And it was basically done to sort of flip upside down that very widely read, I think it was 35 important questions that was in a New York Times article that was floating around. It was terrible. It did more harm than good. I don't know why people thought it was a good idea. So this was sort of our answer to that. It's a better answer to that. It's a solution to it. The 23 questions that matter, GLD 218. If you have not listened, listen to it. If you've listened to it previously, but you haven't listened to it in a while, listen to it again, because if you have these 23 questions in your brain and in your holster ready to go during any of these encounters, you're far more likely to get farther down the love line than just about anything else. So GLD 218, the 23 questions that matter. Next on this list is GLD 242, which is the dating amendments. I said earlier that I thought that the dating commandments had everything that you wanted to know, and they pretty much do, but 120 or so episodes after that, which is about 2.5 years after that, we realized that either certain developments in the dating world or the world in general have required us to add a few things. Sort of like the Constitution was a really good document, but they had to bring in the Bill of Rights, and so they had to add some amendments. GLD 242, this was the dating amendments, which was things that we have either learned or have changed a little bit, or things that we needed to add to the dating commandments so that you were fully up to speed. It was sort of the the paperback version of the Dating Commandments with a few extra nuggets thrown in, some bonus tracks. It's like Taylor Swift re-releasing Red, and she threw some bonus tracks in there. We threw some bonus tracks, the Dating Amendments, and add those onto the Dating Commandments, and you will be just fine. GLD 268 is the next one, and that was did that one about a year and a half ago. If my math is right, it's called the 11 X's you date along the way. And the theory behind that and my philosophy in doing that was we all go through, you can call them bad relationships, but you probably should look at them as learning experiences. You should look at them as things you had to endure or things you had to grow from or people you had to gain some valuable and invaluable experience from that we all share in common. The one thing that makes people feel really good when they come to our Great Love Debate live shows, besides the alcohol and the laughter, is that a lot of people come to our shows and they're a little hesitant because they believe that they're the only ones that feel a certain way. And there's a certain loneliness and there's a certain fear in that you're the only one who's experienced certain things and you're the only one that feels a certain way. And when the show is over, there is such a solace in understanding and realizing that everybody feels that way. And everybody has the same frustrations and experiences that you do. And as I lay out in this episode, GLD 268, the 11 X's you date along the way, is that it's almost a rite of passage that we all go through these experiences. We all have these relationships with people that probably weren't right for us or probably weren't right to be with at that time, but they're things that we have to go through and they're things that we learn from and there's things that we grow because of. And so knowing that all of us, I dated one of those guys, or I dated a girl like that, or I did that, it really did make people feel a lot better that they were not the only ones. It wasn't that their picker was broken, or they had bad taste, or they have a certain type that was wrong for them. It's that we all went through that girl, this guy, these situations, and we're better off for it. They toughened us, hopefully in a good way, and prepared us in a great way to move forward into the ones we really want. So GLD 268, the 11 X's you date along the way. The next one that I did last year, as you are listening to this, 2021, we don't do a lot of episodes about sex around here for a few different reasons, mostly because it's just different for everybody and it's personal in different ways, and it's tough to get out of that hole sometimes when you do that. But every once in a while, we have to tackle it in a smart way. So GLD 306, we had Dawn Massler on here who talked about the science of sex. So the episode is called The Science of Sex. And it talked about why we behave the way we do and what are the things chemically, biologically, scientifically that bring us together or keep us apart. And she was a great guest. And the good thing about this list, I think, some of these I did myself, some of these I did with some regulars, some of these times, these shows I brought in with somebody who I'd never met before. She was one of those people. She was excellent. We'll probably have her back soon because the response to it was really good. But she dove into things that we think about and a lot of things we don't think about, and most importantly, in ways that we've never thought about them before. She really brought up the why. Why are we like this? Why do we react like this? Why do things happen like this? Really broke it all down. I thought it was a really smart episode. We got a lot of really good feedback for it. So I stand by that one. GLD 306, The Science of Sex. Excuse me. I'm not sick. It's just a cough. And the last one on this list, I did it fairly recently. And he was such a good guest that and I don't think I contributed a whole lot to this episode, which is fine with me. But GLD 328, it was called The Death of a Relationship. And most people think, if you just see the title of that it's really sort of a sad take on the one that got away or somebody passed away or anything. It wasn't really about that. It was our guest, Matthew Frey, is a very popular, he's an author and a very popular blogger who has written some of the most circulated blog posts about love, dating, relationships of anybody. He stopped by, and it's really about the things that you can do better. The things that you can do better for your partner, the things that you can do better to be a better partner. It was a really sort of original take, and he had a lot of ideas that didn't necessarily align with the way I think about things. And from the feedback I got, this is the great love debate, and you're not always supposed to agree. From the feedback I got, most people agreed with him, which is good. I'm not always right. Just raising questions around here. GLD 328, The Death of a Relationship. Listen to that one. So, either if you listen to the show a long, long time, go back and listen to one or more of those if you want. If you have not, or you're fairly new here, listen to them. That's a pretty good sample platter. It's a little poo-poo platter of things that I think are important, the things that stood out, and the things you really sort of should always keep in your pocket as you, if you're in a relationship, which a lot of you are, looking to be in one, or you've had trouble getting into one. All of these things I think are helpful and relevant, and mostly just useful, and hopefully a little entertaining. So if you're on a long flight to Cancun or wherever you're jetting off to, download some podcasts. It's a good way to pass the time. So thank you for indulging me in this a little bit. I liked going back and digging through the files and seeing which ones I thought held up and which ones that we were proud to sort of put out there and do this. So it was a good exercise. So I said at the beginning that I sort of, oh my God, I get that question all the time. It's a good question. There really are no bad questions because it made me think about it, and it made me go through the Great Love Debate forest and grab some fresh fruit off the trees. Check out our live tour schedule. We do have some live shows. We have some live podcast shows that we are doing. And we have some live, our traditional theater comedy club full audience shows. So there's a little bit of both. We're doing those. Go to greatloveDebate.com. The first one is February 3rd. City Vineyard at Pier 26 in New York City. And then they go from there. There's one in Boca Raton, Florida. There's one in Palm Beach, Florida, and on and on and on. Check it out. GreatLoveDebate.com. Shoot us an email. Like I said, our next episode of this is a listener letters episode. My guest, my co-host for that, is somebody who has already been married 5 times. So do with that information whatever you choose. And she's not that old. So she's going to stop by and help us dig through some listener letters. So send those to us. You have time to get in a couple more if you do this quickly. GreatLoveDebate@gmail.com. And most importantly, we're moving into another season of this, another year. Your reviews are always so important to us. If you don't have time, you do have time. Click the 5 stars. It really, really helps us. Or write your thoughts, whatever you want. Because, as always, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.
The Great Love Debate.